Hello. It is Sunday morning after Halloween. Halloween was super bomb. I'm gonna add videos and pictures from Halloween at the end of this video. Bashba's baby grew. It was a good idea on my behalf. But I had a couple minutes before church, so I finally decided to record this. Sebastian took off with my parents because I have an appointment after church. Usually I just take him with me, but I have to fly out of there and they're like on the other side of town, so they took him for the morning. But I have questions, so we'll just get into them. This card, I guess, is from like AP Literature, and I have like notes on the back, but not the point. What is your biggest fear in parenting? I feel like besides the obvious, you know, like something happening to him or like me losing him or like anything like that, like that's one of my biggest fears. I don't really think you can fail as a parent unless you don't strive to give your child better than what you had. So I feel like I already try to do that a lot, so I think I'm doing okay. But I feel like my biggest fear in parenting just might be like him turning out to be like a total like sack of shit. Like I'm so scared of that. I'm doing my best though. How do you balance working, school, and being a mom? It's truly badass. Well, thank you. I don't think I balance it. I do my best. I really do. I try hard. I think it's just discipline and not being selfish, kind of. So like, obviously I work because I have to work. Like, you need money. I have to provide for my son, things like that. Being a mom, I also don't really feel like was ever a choice for me. You know, I feel like some people have kids and then it's up to them whether or not they actually want to be, you know, full-time or part-time or whatever the case. Like, it was never really a choice for me. I never saw it as a decision I had to make. Like, it was just, this is what I had to do, so I did it. And then school, I think that just goes along with trying to be like a good parent. Like, I know if I don't finish, I just feel like everyone should have like some type of like degree or like something to fall back on, like trade school or certificate or something like that. So I feel, and I'm already almost done, so I just feel like that's something I need to finish. Once that's out of the way, like I have a lot of more opportunities for work and making more money and things like that, and being a better mom. So yeah, I guess the balance part though is just discipline. Like, I have to remind myself every day, this is what I have to do, it needs to get done. It's just discipline. I don't know. I don't do too many things that like I don't need to do, if that makes sense. Like, I don't go out a lot, I don't party a lot, nothing like that. So it just gets done. Discipline. I make myself stick to my routines, my schedule, things like that. That's that. Okay, this person said, what is your skincare routine? Flawless. I don't know if you're just trying to be nice to me because my skin be acting up all the time. But as for some kind of routine, I take off makeup with coconut oil, like in the shower. So I get in the shower, I take my tub, I just wash all my makeup off, and then I use, oh, hold on, backtrack. I only do that now. After I got pregnant, my skin was so dry, like alligator skin. Like, it was disgusting. And I always thought that it would like go back to normal after he came out. It never went back to normal. So I use like oil to take my makeup off, just to put some like hydration back in my skin. I then wash my face with like the Neutrogena, I think it's like the Hydro Boost scrub or something. I probably should have grabbed that before I started recording this. And then I use witch's hazel as a toner. So after the shower, I'll like clean my face again with witch hazel. And then on a normal day, I just go ahead and put on moisturizer. I either use the Nature by Nature, it's like the NXN brand, for like super dry skin, or my favorite is the Neutrogena Hydro Boost. It's like a little, it's good. It helped my dry skin like so well. So this person has like 2 questions in a row. I mean, I feel like they're kind of being nosy, but I guess I set myself up for that. So they said, would you ever get back with Sebastian's dad for the baby's sake or otherwise? Not my favorite topic. I don't really... Well, first off, I don't think that you should ever stay together for the kids or get back together for the kids or anything like that. That should never be like your sole reason. I feel like I stayed in a bad situation for a really long time with that mindset. Like I had to stay for Sebastian when I know I shouldn't have stayed. So I don't think like that's a good enough reason. As for the otherwise, that was a good otherwise. I haven't even like entertained the thought of us getting back together in a very long time. Like it hasn't even been like a thought process for me. Like it's never, like when I think about my life, like it's never just been like a road. There would have to be like a lot of repercussions to be made. Reparations, that was the word. Reparations to be made. He's not really like the work for it type. He's very like entitled and spoiled, and he has like that like hopeless attitude about him. So it was either, you know, his way or the highway, and evidently it was the highway. And then going off of that, he's one of those like, well, what am I supposed to do? There's nothing for me to do about it. It's like, there's plenty you could do. You're just not going to put in the work to do it. At least when it came to me, like there was never like work being put in it. I'd never entertain it because I don't see, you know, any of that ever happening. Like I feel like I waited for a little bit after everything happened. I don't hold my breath. You know, we got life to live. I'll go into the next part of the question. Then they asked, how did you heal, or do you have any advice for healing? When it came to the healing process, it is hard. We had broken up like one other time, like for a bit, when we were younger. And that was really hard on me back then, just because like I knew I had some part in it. Like I had some faults, and during like, you know, that separation period, I had to look at myself and acknowledge, you know, bad traits of mine, and acknowledge things that I did wrong and how I could have been better, and what part of everything fell into like my hands, like why it was, you know, my fault. This time, like I didn't do anything. Like it wasn't me at all. So the healing part was really difficult at first. So if you need advice, I would just say it's just time. I don't know. Like one day, it's just like a day-by-day process. It's always a process. I think I'm pretty healed now. But for a long time, I feel like I would go through phases where like, you know, it would scab up and then someone would like come and rip it off, and I'd be like, oh shit, maybe I'm not healed. I've kind of adopted the mindset that there are 7 billion people in the world, and I don't think that the one meant for me would have put me through any of that, or like, you know, even had some kind of like ounce of like love or respect or care about me. You know, they just wouldn't have done that to you to begin with. If there are 5,000 ways to go about things, and that person continuously chooses the worst way, the most painful way, the most below the belt punch, so after all of that, I don't think about it, because I have healed for the most part. As for advice for healing, you just gotta give it time. I'm pretty Christian, so I prayed a lot, you know, take this off of me, or, you know, whatever. I don't want to be you went through that to become a better person situation, because I still hate that when people are like, well, you know, you're a better, stronger person now because of it, and, you know, blah 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 blah. Like I didn't need to be that strong. Like I didn't need to go through any of that. So I'm not gonna say that. Like, did anyone really deserve to be put through what I went through? Probably not, but I sure as shit did not deserve that. So I feel like a lot of healing is just, you know, if somebody had the power to hurt you that bad, you probably have to reconsider how you view yourself and how you know, love yourself. And that was also hard on me, that I had to learn, you know, I put that much into him. That's why he was able to hurt me so bad. But I'm done with that. How did you and your family react when you found out you were pregnant? Actually pretty funny. My family kind of knew before I did. Like, they had a feeling, I guess. Like, it was just like in the air. A super funny story. So Sebastian's dad, we weren't together at the time, but we were together. And he had called me one night, or like FaceTimed me like 11 o'clock at night. And I was grumpy. I was in bed. I was just mad. And he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm going to bed." And he was like, "Why are you yelling?" I was like, "Because I don't feel good. Like, why are you bothering me?" He was like, "You don't go to sleep till like 2 a.m. Like, what's going on?" I was like, I just started yelling. I was like, "I don't feel good. My boobs hurt. I'm cranky. Like, my stomach hurts. I was dizzy all day at work. Like, everything's grossing me out. People are pissing me off." And he was like, "When's the last time you got your period?" And I was like, "It's a good question." And then he was like, "I'm buying a test tomorrow." I was like, "That's stupid. I'm not pregnant, stupid." I think like later that week, we had ended up going to First Friday. If you're not from Vegas, it's just this festival downtown. They throw the first Friday of every month. It's super fun. I recommend. But we made that a thing for a little bit. We were going to First Friday a lot. So we went to First Friday, and then he drove me to his house, and we walked into his room. Like, his room had a bathroom, so we walked into his room, and he like goes to the other side of the room and like grabs like the Walgreens bag, and he got like a double pack, and he was like, "Go." And I was like, "This is stupid. You wasted money. Like, I'm not pregnant." So I peed on the stick, and like, it, as I was peeing, it changed like pregnant. I was like, what the hell? And then so he was like standing right outside the door, and I was like, "You need to go get me like some juice or a bottle of water." And he was like, "Why?" I was like, "Because this test is broken. Like, I need to take the other one." He was like, "What do you mean it's broken?" I was like, "Go get me another one." And he was like, "Okay." So I went to go get me water. I drank water. I'm literally sitting on the toilet. I chugged the water. As soon as I felt I needed to pee, I took out the other test, and I was pregnant again. So I was like, And he was like, "It's okay, like, it's okay, everything's okay, like, we're gonna be okay, this is fine." And I was like, "This is not okay." I had just put down like $800 in deposit to go to a school in Virginia. So I was pretty upset. Well, like, initially upset. I got over it pretty quickly. Anywho, so we had made an appointment to go to Planned Parenthood like the next Thursday or the following Thursday, just because I didn't want to go to my normal doctor in case, I don't know, I was freaking out. I was 17. I was scared they were gonna like call my parents or something. So I went in, I got an ultrasound. The little nugget was in there, like that big. I think I was like 6 weeks and 4 days or something when we went in. So we're leaving, and like, it's just quiet in the car, and he's not saying anything. And he was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna go home and tell my mom." And I was like, "Oh, I'm not saying nothing." I think back then I had the mindset that like I was just gonna keep it to myself. I didn't believe I could have kids. Like, I didn't think it was gonna like go full term, just other situations I've been in. So I was just like, whatever, like, this is gonna pass. Or I don't know. I didn't know what I was thinking. I just, honestly, I think at the time I was just gonna leave anyway. I was gonna go to Virginia and just be like, but no, yeah. He was like, "If you don't tell them, I'm gonna tell them." And at the time, like I said, we weren't together, so that would have been a very bad conversation. So I was like, fine. So like, I went home, I went to work, I told like my coworkers, I was like, "I don't know what I'm gonna do." And they're like, "You just gotta tell them." And I was like, so I went home. I texted my mom, like I said, earlier that day, my dad had my location, I was still in high school, and he had texted me conveniently as I was at Planned Parenthood. He just decided to check up on me. He was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm at the doctor with my friend." And he was like, "I sure hope so." And I was like, he knows I'm at Planned Parenthood. So like my parents were sitting on the couch when I got home, and I was like, so I just went to my room and I texted my mom and I was like, hey, can you come here? And she was like, why don't you come here? And I was like, no, just please come here. And she was like, okay, fine. So she comes in and she sits down, and I just look at her and I start crying. Like, she already knew. Like, everybody already knew. And then I guess a couple days like before like any of that had ever happened, my dad had like asked her like, do you think she's pregnant? My mom was like, no, I don't think so. Lo and behold, Papa Berto knew. So yeah. So then she was like, oh, well, let's go tell your dad. And I was like, so I went and told my dad. My dad was just like, all right. And then my older brother lived with us at the time. The Thursday before that, his girlfriend had told my mom that she was pregnant, but my brother hadn't told anybody. So like we all knew, but like he didn't know that any of us knew. So she was like, family meeting. So my sister, my little brother, my older brother, we're all in the living room. We're sitting down and we're all just like looking at her. My mom was like, so we have 2 babies coming. And my brother just like looks at me. He's like, what? Like you're pregnant with twins? And then everyone's like, no, stupid. Like, we know you're... Yeah, my nephew and my son are 4 days apart. But, yeah. You know, nobody was really angry. It was just more of a, well, this is what's happening. Now we all gotta adjust. And that was what our family meeting was about. You know, adjusting, you know, being there for everybody. And we've been doing all right. Last question. What was the worst thing about pregnancy? I didn't have a good pregnancy. Like the whole thing was not good, pretty much. The first half of it was just like really emotional. There was a lot of bullshit going on. Like I said, like we weren't even together when I got pregnant. So trying to decide what we were gonna do from that point. You know, I basically walked in and I was like, are we doing this? We're not doing this. And he was like, don't be stupid. I love you. We went half on this. So we ended up deciding to do it at the time. It was lonely. I had actually had like a falling out with all of like my friends, like my really good friends from high school, like a month after I found out I was pregnant. So like I didn't have any of them during my pregnancy. I mean, a lot of us have made up now, but yeah, like that was hard. Like it was just lonely. I had like one friend during my pregnancy, like one like somewhat solid friend. We're not friends anymore, but Sebastian's dad actually was gone for like a month and a half of my pregnancy. So like it was just lonely. Like I did so much of it by myself. It was hard. And then like it was summertime in Vegas. Like it's like triple digits outside. I'm like swollen. I didn't even look pregnant until I was like 7 months pregnant. So like that was a good thing, I guess. But then also not a good thing, just because people would be like, are you sure there's a baby in there? Like, so I had to deal with that my whole pregnancy. Like, are you sure there's a baby in there? Like, where to go? Are you eating? Yes, I eat. And then the second half of my pregnancy was just hard, you know, like the pregnancy part. Like after I turned like 7 or 8 months, like that shit hit me like a brick. I went into preterm labor 3 times. The last time I went into preterm labor, like it was like hardcore scary. The first couple times, like I was just contracting a lot and they were able to like slow down medication and stuff. The last time though, like I was dilating. If you don't know what that is, like when your cervix starts to open. And it was only like 2 days before Halloween last year. So he was only like 30 weeks or something like that. I was dilating, like he was crowning, he was pushing down. I was like, baby, please stay in there. Like, you're not ready. They had like shot me up with steroids. That way like his lungs would be developed. Like it was so stressful. It was crazy. And I was working at a physical therapy office, like the later half of my pregnancy. I was working, I was in school full time. I think I mentioned it last video, like my first day of college, I had a nighttime class, like Monday, Wednesday at like 7. And after, like I got approached by like a sex trafficking scam, like, oh my God. So I was driving around town all the time. Like I was just lonely. Like it was hard. I was tired. I was doing school full time. Trying to like finish my classes while being in the hospital all the damn time was like, but thank God, like my professors were pretty understanding. But yeah, my whole pregnancy was just a struggle. I don't think there was like a worst part. The best parts though were, you know, obviously like I had him with me all the time. Like if I was safe, he was safe. I love that. Yeah, I love that a lot. I wish it was still like that. I could just take him everywhere with me. I mean, I take him most places with me, but like school and stuff, you know, like I just wish I had him. You know, like feeling him kick, things like that. Like, you know, Also the worst thing about pregnancy is I don't feel like anyone like treated me like I was pregnant. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I always see things. Maybe it's just because I be on Twitter too much. Like, like nobody took care of me. Like I took care of myself. I mean, you know, like my parents would occasionally like, you know, make whatever I was craving or things like that. But like nobody like satisfied my cravings. Nobody checked up on me. I had to ask to get massages. I was just lonely. Like I might as well just done it by myself, honestly. But yeah, it was just really lonely. I don't know. The worst part. Yeah, nobody cared about like making me upset. If you're around a pregnant person, please do not make them upset. Like even if you don't care about them, like at least care about the baby. Like the baby goes through whatever she goes through. I feel like that's probably why I went through some like preterm labor so many times. Like everybody, and when I mean everybody, I mean everybody was pushing me to a limit that like I could not handle. I was like, y'all, there's a baby in here, please be nice to me. But I mean, he's good. We're all good now. We're good. Anyway, that was all the questions I got. I mostly got, yeah, I think all of these came off of, I ran a thing on Instagram. But thanks for chatting with me. I'll see you guys next video.
Hello. I just left church. We have free tacos. My church is amazing. But I was really thinking about that going back and healing double question. One of our worship songs in church today, actually like part of the chorus was like, your love is never gonna leave me here. And it's back to the healing thing. When I said, you know, like I would pray about it a lot, I think I just had to put my faith in that, you know, like God's plan was bigger, you know, God's like everything, like it wasn't up to me, like it was his. Like I just had to, you know, put my faith and trust in the fact that it was gonna get better. He wasn't gonna leave me there, like it wasn't going to be that bad. And I think, you know, going off of that, the whole like would you go back, you know, you can't heal an environment that hindered you. So repeatedly, you know, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different, you know, result. So going back, I mean, I don't think it'd be a different result, especially, you know, the people we're turning into. Our priorities are vastly different. When you look at things like, how am I trying to put this? I don't know. If we were the last two people on earth, maybe, you know, that would force people to stay faithful probably. But I just don't see in my lifetime me going back to someone who had to think about having to pick me, who had to weigh the pros and cons. Like, nobody deserves that. You deserve to be a priority. You deserve to be first. I definitely plan on building my life with someone who would rather pick, you know, a good life versus a good time. So that's my 2 cents on that. And praise Jesus.
Santa, something told me I should bring my
You gotta move it slowly, taking in my body like it's holy. I've been waiting for you for the whole week. I've been praying for you.